Oh well, that's the first time I've gone live on a scheduled stream. Alright, I'll know better for next time. But anyway, yeah, so get back to it. Crimson X Arch sent me a list. Super excited that somebody actually took me up in this offer to send me a list. And I thought what I'd do is jump in and have a check out his list. So, see if we can put these side by side, roughly. So, Smash Captain, Librarian Dreadnought, Astaroth, 4 or 5 man intercessor squads, 1, 2, I guess 3, 4, 3 Eradicator squads, 1, 2, 3, the 3 Outrider squads. I mean, this guy has a lot of Indominus stuff, I guess, and 10 Sanguinary Guard, 1, 2, 3, 10. Power Fists and Bolters and all of them. I mean, I see some swords here, but I mean, the point cost is actually the same. And I don't actually have any problem with the swords. Sorry, my glasses are a bit messy. Like, the swords are genuinely pretty decent now. Especially with the +1 to wound you get from the Red Thirst. I mean, because you take the hit on hitting with using the Power Fists, like you only hit on 4s with Power Fists. I mean, sure, you usually kill stuff, but the swords you hit on 3s, so it kind of all balances out. Anyway, let's get in. I thought what would be cool would be to take his list and pump it into Battlescribe. If you aren't familiar with Battlescribe, then you should get familiar with it because there's a lot of. It's very easy to make an army list, and he said it was 2,000 points. So it looks to me like it's a battalion. So, all right. So, I mean, you have to select the Blood Angels. You have to select that it's Blood Angels. You have to select as a detachment. You also select your battle size now, because that's how many CP you get. So you get 12 CP in this battle size, and if you put your Warlord in here, you will recover the CP you spent on the battalion. So you will recover this -3 by putting your Warlord in. So it's a captain, and he's got a jump pack. And he has a Storm Shield, and he also has a Thunderhammer. Very standard. 160 points seems high. I thought it was 155. So it comes in as 155. But do you know what? I don't have my Indomitus box set yet. I've just got photographs of the pages from Chapter Approved. And captains in Chapters Approved actually come in as 80 points. So this 85 here, to me, seems wrong, because it literally says Captain 80, Captain with a jump pack 105. I don't know if you'd be able to read that on my phone if I hold it up real close. But, so Captain is 105, so Battlescribe again. Although Battlescribe is great, it makes mistakes, or things are wrong. I know Dante's costed wrong as well at the moment. So we have obviously the Smash Captain. Lots of people run Smash Captains. We have a Librarian Dreadnought. I was thinking of buying one of these, but I don't have one yet. I take it you take Winds of Sanguinius on this so that you can fly, and I feel like maybe you want to take Quickening or Shield of Sanguinius. The Shield gives you a 5+ invulnerable save, but you can also cast it on other people, and Quickening gives you 2 extra attacks in, I say 2 extra, it's D3 extra attacks and +3 to your charge roll. So we'll go with Quickening. I mean, we can come back and change it. And then Astaroth. So Astaroth I took in my other list the other day. You want Catechism of Fire, I think, if he's around anyone at all that shoots, because the +1 to the wound roll, sorry, it's the hit roll, isn't it? No, it's the wound roll, I was right. The +1 to the wound roll is fairly strong. Mantra of Strength, that will buff his own strength, and I think it gives him 1 additional damage on his weapon as well. So you add Oh, it's add one attack, add one strength, add one damage. So if he's off on his own or later in the game, this can still be very useful. And then Canticle of Hate. I know it's telling you that Astaroth can only have 2 litanies, but I'm 100% sure he can have 3. I checked the Blood of Baal book for the list that I made the other day. So Battlescribe is... We've only added 3 characters, and Battlescribe's wrong in 2 of them so far, so it's a good start. But Canticle of Hate is the one that buffs charges for everybody around him. It gives them an additional 2 and lets them pile in 6. So with the Sanguinary Regard, that's going to be super important. So if we look at troops, what do you say? You've got 4 intercessor squads. I feel like that's fine. I mean, intercessor squads are good. They do generally just put out damage. I didn't look in his photo. Does he have any? He does not have chain swords on any of these models. So, I mean, they added... It's kind of shitty how they did this, in that the box that had the intercessors in it from last edition, Dark Imperium, didn't have any of close combat weapons in the intercessors. And then they added later that you can get chain swords on your sergeant for nothing. Like, there's no point cost on it. So, I guess the thing you need to do, like... So basically already in this list, I guess, there's 4 chain swords that you got for free. It basically just gives the sergeant an additional attack. I believe chain swords are going to actually become -1 AP, whereas right now I guess there is no AP on these guys in close combat, except in turn 3 when you move into Assault Doctrine and get Shock and Awe. No, not Shock and Awe, sorry, Savage Echoes. So yeah, what you need to do, I guess, is you need to buy. It's annoying if you've, like, I already completely painted mine, and then basically buy some easy to build intercessors. I believe they're going out of sale, or out. They're stopped making them soon. But find a squad, or that Conquest magazine that came out. Do you know what? You can probably pick them up on eBay. So you just need to pick up some intercessors and customize them and get your free chain swords, because it'd be stupid not to, I guess. Alright, moving on down. Eradicators. I guess they're under heavy support. I haven't got Eradicators myself yet. So it's going to be 3 squads of Eradicators. I guess there isn't that many options in terms of like what you can actually equip the loadouts with the stuff on the Indomitate box. I guess it's a bit like what I just said with Dark Imperium. They sort of bring out the models with no options. And then they sell you the same models again, like a few months later now with options. But everyone's so excited to get the new stuff, so you just buy it, and then you see. So, yeah, the Eradicators are essentially aggressors, right? They move 5. Weapon and Ballistic Skill 3, which is standard for a Marine. The Toughness 5 makes them a little bit more survivable, and 3 wounds as well. They actually have a reasonable amount of close combat attacks, in that the Sergeant has 3, and I guess that always gets +1 pretty much most times in the game, because you're always being charged or getting charged. It's very rare that combat goes on more than like 1 or 2 more turns, I suppose. And I don't know too much more about these guys. So they have assault melta-guns that if you don't move you can fire twice. Was that rule? Sorry. In your shooting phase, you can declare that you only shoot a single target if you do select one target in the unit. Oh, sorry, no. It's not if you don't move. It's a little bit different from aggressors. So if everybody in the unit is going to shoot the same target, you get to fire twice, and it's basically a multi-melta for all intents and purposes. I know they're calling it a melta rifle, but yeah, so it's just a multi-melta shot. So for the price of 40 points a unit and 3 wounds, a multi-melta shot is fairly decent. I mean, if you compare them to like attack bikes, like the old attack bikes, so old attack bikes would have 1 more wound, but they would have 1 less multi-melta shot, but then they'd have your 4 bolter shots from the twin bolt rifle in the front, and because it's a vehicle, it can shoot its rapid fire at full range. So yeah, they're interesting. Like, they're basically tank busters, really. And having 9 of them makes, like if you just have 1 squad of them, it's easy enough for the enemy to pick them off and then not worry about them. But having 9 of them is going to be interesting. In some ways, they maybe feel a little bit like Centurions to me, in that they'll end up sticking around, and when they do shoot, it's going to pack quite a punch. So, yeah, I mean, 3 squadrons of Eradicators. I feel like they just feel better than the Hellblasters. Like, I have the 2 or 3 squads of Hellblasters that came with Dark Imperium, actually. I think I had 2 and then I split a box with one of my friends. But, yeah, I mean, they just feel stronger than the Hellblasters. And then when you compare them points-wise, you only get 3. So there's only 9 wounds in that squad against Hellblasters, which would have 10 wounds. And then you only get the 24-inch range, but you get that additional toughness. So the additional toughness definitely probably makes up for having 1 less wound. And yeah, I mean, if the Hellblasters are within 15 inches, then, you know, they would get to rapid fire and they do a lot of damage, but historically speaking, Hellblasters don't really survive well enough to get within 15 inches of the enemy. Yeah, I don't think Hellblasters really were in the meta last build, and I don't really think they're going to be now. I just think there's better options for the points. But, yeah, okay, so 3 Eradicator squads, definitely interesting. A lot of firepower. The only thing that's lacking here is maybe they're limited a little bit by their 24-inch range, but then their guns are assault, so they can move, they can then roll a d6 to assault and then fire. So really, when you talk about that, then it's a 30-inch range because their move is 5 plus the 24 shot plus the 1 for a minimum roll. So they essentially have 30 inches. So in the new board size, I don't think they're going to be a problem. I think they're going to be able to hit whatever they need to hit, unless it's really well hidden. So yeah, good heavy support choice, these Eradicators. Hopefully I'm going to see them on the board pretty soon. I know my Ultramarines buddy has... he's got a set of them. Then, again, I guess it's because he's got 3 boxes of Indomitus. We're looking at 3 squads of Outriders. And Outriders for Blood Angels are kind of strong, in my opinion. So, when they charge, you add 2 to their attack characteristic. So, let's say in turn 1 and 2, before you get into your Assault Doctrine, you've got 4 attacks on the regular guy, 5 attacks on the Sergeant, but you get +1 for charging as a Space Marine. So it's 16 attacks in turn 1 and 2, and then once you hit turn 3, I'm just checking I've done this maths right. Yeah, once you hit turn 3, then the regular guys would get their 2 attack. Oh, sorry, no, I've done this math wrong because they're wielding chainswords. So in turn 1 and 2, you get 2 attacks, +1 for the chainsword, +1 for charging, and then plus an additional 2 for the devastation charging. So that's 6 on the normal guys, and 7 on the captain. It feels wrong. It feels like that's so high. I've taken these guys, I've taken my Outriders in both games of 9th I played. I only have 1 squad of them, and both times they've been killed before. Well, no. The first time they failed their charge because it was over uneven terrain and you get -2, and then the second time they get killed by a squad of... I was going to say they got killed by a squad of Repentia, but no, they didn't. They killed the squad of Repentia, and then I think they got shot by Meltaguns or something, and got knocked off the board. But yeah, so they get 2 attacks, +1 for the chainsword, +1 for charging, and then +2 for turbo boost. The regular guys get 6, so that's 12. The sergeant gets 7, so you get 19 attacks normally in turn 1 and 2, and then in turn 3, once we get into the Assault Doctrine and Savage Echoes kicks in, you get 22 attacks per squad, and they are hitting on 3s obviously, and then with +1 to wound. You know, I guess most things in the game are toughness 4 or 5, so you're probably going to be wounding half the time. So, and then the -1 from the new chainsword becomes -2 in turn 3 as well. So there's a lot of strength to be had in these guys. What's really interesting, and I was playing about last night because I want to make a new list after I posted up my list earlier last week for people to talk about, and I think the list that I had last week was like very shooty. and I'm trying to find a balance between, like, it only had a 4-man Sanguinary Guard. I'm trying to find a balance. So I was thinking about the Outriders. And what I think is really interesting with the Outriders is they move 14. Could a Sanguinary Priest with a jump pack follow them around? A Sanguinary Priest with a jump pack would move 12. I mean, he's only got a bolt pistol, so you don't really care about him shooting, so he could essentially advance to keep up with the group. And he can restore lost wounds to these bikers, and these bikers are going to be harder to wound anyway because they are... what am I saying? They are toughness 5, so it does make that an interesting option. And the other thing about is bringing the priest with you. You get the +1 strength from the grail that the Sanguinary priests hold. So then I guess you'd be wounding most things on 3s rather than 4s, and then the +1 from the Red Thirst means these guys could essentially have 22 attacks per squad. You've got 3 of them there, so 66 attacks. And wounding on 2s, right? So, yeah, I mean, assuming you miss, assuming that maths work out of your 66 with ballistic skill 3, you hit 44 times, then you wound on 2s, you know, like 10-20% of that off. You're talking about like 35 wounds with -2 AP potentially. Yeah, so Outriders with a priest is very interesting, but this list just has the Outriders, so we'll just keep moving on. We also have the Sanguinary Guard Ancient, or it's not actually Sanguinary Guard Ancient, it's just a Sanguinary Ancient, and quite often on the Ancient there's something wrong with Battle Scribe again. Like, because this guy can carry a banner. Strange. Okay, I guess maybe Battle Scribe is bugged. I'm 100% convinced I have this guy in other lists with, like, he definitely carries the banner. Okay, it would break when I'm trying to do the video, but okay, and then 10 Sanguinary Guard. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 4 of Power Fists and 6 of Swords. So there's no difference in cost between Power Fists and Swords now, and I kind of like what Crimson's done here in that, like, we're just balancing. We're kind of just balancing the swords with the Power Fists. So if you end up running against like a tank, you could do okay against that. But if you end up running against like infantry, where you don't really need the Power Fists, I mean, Power Fists still going to kill infantry, but yeah, it just lets you have a bit of variety or options. So that is the full list. That's what you said it came in as, 1998. If this was my list, then I'd probably make the captain here my warlord. When you do that, you get some options. You can give him like you can give him the Adamantium Mantle to basically have a feel no pain of 5 or 6. This is almost like really strong. You can put Death Visions of Sanguinarius on him for 1 CP that puts him into the Death Company, and in doing so he then gains a feel no pain. The traits that you can have actually are, you can give him Gift of Foresight, which stacks up. So for 1 CP and choosing Gift of Foresight, you can give him the 5+ feel no pain. But you can also give him Artisan of War to make his Thunderhammer 4 damage, which I find... hey Crimson, how you doing? I find the Artisan of War for the... the Thunderhammer really strong because like 4 damage is killer against tanks and stuff. And yeah, Crimson's telling me that you give him Angel's Wings as well. So yeah, this is the. Do you prefer Artisan of War or Gift of Foresight? See, I prefer the Artisan of War because I just find that, like, I call my guy Slam, and I just always find that Slam is yeah. I just always find he's in too deep, right? Like, you can give him the Gift of Foresight and you can get that additional Feel No Pain on like 5 and 6s, but like he's always in the back line, he's always like just chopping through tanks or titans or characters, and usually if he's gonna die, he's gonna, they usually put enough firepower into him to kill him, so at that point it's just a case of pay the extra CP to let him fight again when he's dead, the stratagem, only in death does duty end for like 2 CP, and then casting Red Rampage on this guy when he charges is kind of strong as well, because his is 4 attacks, so then being the Death Company it's 5 attacks, 1 more for charging, so it's 6 attacks, 7 attacks if you're in turn 3, and then if you pay the 1 CP you get another D3, so it's essentially 10 attacks. Those extra attacks you gain from Red Rampage will be usable again if you either pay 3 CP to fight for a second time or pay 2 CP on your death to fight again. So basically you're talking like 18, 19, maybe even 20 attacks with 4 damage a time. If they make Thunderhammers 5 damage a time, it's gonna be insane, right? Because so he hits with his Thunderhammer on 3s because it's -1 to hit. He rerolls his 1s. Then his Thunderhammer is strength 8 and it's +1 to your wound roll, so you pretty much wound anything in the game under, like, I want to say anything under toughness 7 you wound on 2s, toughness 8 you wound on 3s, and then toughness 9 you wound on 4s. So yeah. So the way you usually use Smash is initially as the aura provider and keep him as a threat for your opponent. Yep, and then use the Wings of Fire to pretty much put him anywhere on the battlefield. I think they've just increased Wings of Fire to 2 CP. I think I saw that in an FAQ. But yeah, so you can come down, and with Angel's Wing, the one thing that is good with Angel's Wing is you get to reroll your charges. So if you pay the CP to do the 3d6 charge, especially with the +1. So I mean, I think I did some math on that, and it's like 97% chance that you will pass, and that was before they added the +1 to Blood Angels. So I mean, you need 8 on 3d6. So if you roll a 2, a 3, and a 3, sorry, even less than that, a 2, and a 3, you're still going to pass your charge roll, and you get to re-roll if you fail. Yeah, I don't think the Sanguinary Ancient needs to be your warlord to carry the standard. Oh, I think Battlescribe has fixed itself. Yeah, so in the configuration, you can just go. Maybe that's what I did wrong. It's in stratagems, is it? So you can just go Armory of Baal, pay 1 more CP to get an additional relic, and then put the Standard of Sacrifice onto the Ancient there, so that he gives the 5+ Feel No Pain to the Death. Sorry, not the Death Company, the Sanguinary Guard. Yeah, so I think, that part of the list is super solid. There's no doubt about it. And especially an interesting thing that you can do with Astaroth is you can cast like Canticle of Hate, because it buffs the add 2 to charge rolls made with the friendly chapter models if they're within 6 inches of this model. So you can cast that at the beginning of the turn and then relocate him with Wings of Fire to get those to basically put him anywhere you want to get the additional charge bonus. But yeah, so your list comes in as 1998. Something you could do here, which is interesting, would be one of these intercessor squads, give them an auxiliary grenade launcher. Why not? I mean, it gives you a crack grenade at 30 inches, and against like weaker strength in armies like Sisters of Battle or something, you can get a frag grenade. That's essentially it'll be blast now because it's a grenade, so it'll be 3 to 6 shots, right? So just against some weaker enemies, that's a way to spend your final 2 points. I'm not sure there's many other options to get rid of those final 2 points. So there you go. Put that in there. Also put chain swords on the intercessor sergeants because you can get them for free. And yeah, I mean, thinking about this list and thinking about 9th edition, then I was thinking about this a lot last night because I'm annoyed that I've lost my first couple of games of 9th. I've only lost them because of the scoring in 9th is different. Both games, or the first game I would have won if I'd known that I could raise a banner on my objective in my deployment zone in the first turn. That would have scored me 6 more points. That would have won me the game. The second game I tabled the guy, but I didn't get out and secure enough of the map. So this list gives you a lot of options. I mean, you need like some cheap troop choices to hold objectives, right? So your intercessors are those. I feel like with 3 squads of outriders, if you put them on a flank, that's going to be like crazy. So if you think about the board, there's essentially 5 objectives on the board now, right? Like the center and 1 in each quadrant. So you start with the one in your objective or your deployment zone. You move towards the middle with your Librarian Dreadnought, Astrath, and the captain. You maybe don't need to do a full move, just move up gently. Bring those Eradicators around as well. I mean, you could even have your standard bearer in that bubble, just giving everybody the 5+ feel no pain as you advance towards the middle turn 1. Probably keep the Sanguinary Guard off the board, ready for a deep strike to take any weak objectives from behind him. And then get those Outriders onto the flank, whichever flank you think is going to be easiest to get the objectives. And then so right away in the beginning of the game, you secure your own objective. You secure one objective on one of the flanks with all Outriders. And then you secure the middle. I feel like if you're moving up towards the middle with the Standard of Sacrifice, I was going to say in the Eradicators, what's that? That's like 18 multi-melta shots at 24 inches. And your guys are only going to be wounded on 5s. I don't actually know the ruling for... Because I don't... Typically when I run a Psyker, it's Mephisto, and I go full aggression. But, like... The Shield of Sanguinius, can that be cast on a unit? Yeah, so you could essentially give a squadron that's out front a 5+ invulnerable save as well. Yeah, and the Dreadnought gets a bonus. There's a stratagem, right, that lets the Dreadnought cast at longer range than normal. Oh, is it another relic? Is it this Biomantic Sarcophagi? Yeah. Okay. So, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Yeah, so this list is starting you with 10 CP, right? You paid the 1 to get you want 1 to get Smash into the Death Company and 1 for the additional relic. So I mean, you could pay 2 more, and let your Psyker get an additional 6 inches on his range. It seems like it's quite costly though, because you get 1 per turn within the game, so you would have 10 with the potential of essentially having 15 throughout the game. I feel like Blood Angels always work best with a lot of they always work best with a lot of CP, just because you can like redeploy and then guarantee those charges. And there's some like transhuman physiology on like your large squad of Sanguinary Guard. There's also the interesting one now where don't know if you've used it. It's from Blood of Baal. It's a stratagem that when you complete a charge move for 1 CP, you roll a d6 for everybody that's within 1 inch of an enemy model, and on a 5 or 6, you do 1 mortal wound. So if you've got a 10-man Sanguinary Guard charge in, I don't remember the name of the stratagem, but I have used it once. I used it with a really big death company back in 8th edition. But, so if you've got 20 models charging in, you're basically rolling 20 dice, fishing for 5s and 6s, and they're all mortal wounds. But yeah, overall, I like this list quite a lot. The only thing I don't like, and I don't think it's to do with this list particularly, is I don't like how we're kind of limited to 3 HQ this edition. Like I said, my Blood Angels list in 7th edition, my Blood Angels list in 8th edition was running with 7 HQ. Now I know that's probably a bit much, but we do have a lot of really strong characters, and you can make a crazy bubble. Like just before you got on, I was saying how you could have a Sanguinary Priest ride around with the Outriders and give them +1 strength to essentially make them wound quite a bit more. So yeah, I mean, it's in terms of like a balanced list, I think this is definitely balanced, right? Because you've got the Captain, the Librarian, Astaroth, who can all do serious close combat. You've got your Intercessors. I like Intercessors, they get 10 shots at range 30 if they don't move. So if they're sitting on objectives, they can pump out enough bolter shots just to sort of hold those objectives. The Ancient and the Guard coming in anywhere on the battlefield. Powerful, but once turn 3 hits, those guys are unstoppable, right? The Power Fists will be like -4 in turn 3, and I need to double check, but I feel like the swords that the Sanguinary Guard carry are -3 as well, and also D3 damage. Sometimes Battlescribe does that, yeah. So the swords also -3. So once turn 3 hits, the Sanguinary Guard are all -4s, and pretty much every hit's doing D3. I think they're changing Power Fist to be a flat 2 damage. I'm not sure if this has been updated yet, but as far as I'm aware, Power Fists are getting changed to be a flat 2 damage, which I actually think makes them a bit stronger. That's why I was thinking Terminators might be viable again, because the Power Fists being a flat 2 damage just makes them a bit more reliable. So I'm pretty sure that's coming with the new Codex in October. The Outriders, 19 attacks per squad in close combat. I suppose the other thing we didn't even mention with Outriders is they do have a twin bolt rifle, so it's it's 4 shots per. So you get 12 more bolt rifle shots out of these guys, and then when they're in combat in turn 1 and 2, it's 19 attacks if they charge, and in turn 3 onwards, it's 22 attacks if they charge. It's a lot for someone to have to deal with, I think. And then the Eradicators, I mean, I wasn't so sure about these guys, but seeing 9 of them like that is going to be fucking scary. I mean, there's nothing else to say. Them marching down the middle of the board, they're just going to be destroying things. I'm trying to figure out, I really like the idea of having them near the standard of sacrifice. The Outriders the Eradicators are already quite tanky with their toughness 5. Giving them a 5+ feel no pain as they march towards the middle of the board is just going to be very strong, especially with the other things that people have to deal with. And if they get to shoot, 18 melta shots is kind of absurd. Am I doing the math on that right? Yeah, if they shoot at the same target, they get to fire twice. So you get 6 multi-melta shots. And that's their assault weapons as well. So they move 5, roll your d6, and then shoot. I mean, maybe in the first turn they aren't going to get to shoot so much stuff, but once turn 2 comes, yeah, them marching down the middle of the board with some sort of escort is going to be crazy. I mean, that's why I'm really upset that we can't have more HQ, because if you built a second, like with your 3 Outrider squads, you could essentially have a second detachment, an Outrider detachment, and drop something somewhere that, let's say you know what, I'll just do it. I mean, we're kind of coming to the end of the stream anyway, but if we were going to drop, let's say we're going to drop a troop choice, an intercessor choice, and add an Outrider detachment. So you would lose 3 CP for adding the detachment, and you'd add your Outrider squad. The interesting thing, the thing that I think is going to be very interesting, is if you added that Sanguinary Priest with jump back. You're still under 10 points under. So the Sanguinary Priest could do 2 things here. He could walk down the middle with those Outriders and heal them. We have that stratagem where you pay 1 CP so he can take 2 actions a turn, right? So he could heal someone from 1 wound back up to full, and then he could resurrect somebody else. I mean, that sounds disgusting, but also he works with the bikes as well, and with the bikes he gives +1 strength to everybody within 6 inches, right? So yeah, where is it? Blood Chalice. Yeah, bikers can get +1 strength with their 6 inches. So those bikers, which you just said got 22 attacks each, now have strength 5 with a +1 to their wound roll. So you're pretty much just saying they're wounding fucking everything. And again, he can heal them. You can pay that 1 CP to heal 2 of them, or yeah. But I guess you would take a hit on that. You would be starting the game with 7 CP as opposed to 10, so you'd have 12 throughout the game. It's interesting, but yeah, overall, thank you so much for sharing the list, dude. I really am trying to look at options for Blood Angels, and I really want to make sure that I win. Do you know what? I just noticed your toes are in this picture, or somebody's toes are in this picture. It's brilliant. But yeah, no, thank you for sharing the list. I really want to try and figure out a really powerful 9th edition list that balances shooting and CP and objective holding and close combat, because I love the close combatness of Blood Angels. It's like my favourite thing, like when turn 3 hits and it's like, I even said when I played the Sisters of Battle guy before I tabled them, I was like, when turn 3 hit, I was like, oh shit, this is when the game gets fun for me, right? Just because every weapon in my army is now like minus, basically so much minus that you don't get any saving throws anymore, right? And everything's doing like D3 damage. Power fists, power swords. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a very cool list. I like it a lot. I feel like, yeah, I would play this list. I just don't have 3 squads of Outriders and 3 squads of Eradicators. And if you saw the backlog of stuff that I need to paint, you'd understand I actually just lined up like 3 tactical squads, because I feel with the buff I'm going to try and do some tactical squads with Flamers, maybe inside Land Raiders. We'll see. I really want to try. I think the issue I've had is I've got Land Raiders and I've got Terminators that haven't been played for like 2 editions, and I want to play them. I'm desperate to play them. So, but yeah, this is a cool list, and yeah, I love the bikers. I hope they're going to be. Yeah, I think in the size of your squads, those on a flank, everything else pushing to the middle, holding your objective. I feel like that's going to be a really tough list to beat. So, okay, I don't think I've got much else to say then. But yeah, I mean, I suppose what I've got to say is if anyone else has any lists, photos. It was super cool getting a photo of the list as well, so we can kind of see it. And you know, typically when you go to a battle of 40k, you take, you know, you have your box of all your models, and then you sit them at the side of the board before deployment, and they look something like this. And do you know what? For me, they always look something like this. I think one time I've been a hunt like 99% completely painted. Usually it's like, because I'm trying everything new, this is how my lists look like for the board. But yeah, no, this was awesome, and yeah, I would love to see some other lists. If people are willing to submit lists, then I'd probably be up for looking at a list sort of like once a week. Yeah, and if not, then as I say, I've been thinking so hard about my next list. I have to beat my friends after losing the last couple of games. So I am actually going to do something very similar where I don't have the Outriders, but I do have the old bikes with multi-meltas. And yeah, I think I am actually going to try that stratagem, or that idea where a priest rolls around with the bikes, healing the bikes and buffing them for close combat. And like I said, having this on a flank, I mean, I guess it's 500 points of bikes. I just think they're super survivable. You have to put a lot into them to kill them because of the 4 wounds and the toughness 5. It might actually be really interesting to see when the new Space Marine bike comes out, because I guess that's going to be toughness 5 with 8 wounds as well. So I guess we'll see when that comes out. But okay, thanks again for sharing the list, Crimson. And if you have more, I'd like to look at more as well. So yeah, if people want to share, leave something in the comments below. Or just DM me on the channel, and I'll look at your list next, because as much as it's cool to look at my list, looking at other people's lists definitely make you think about things you wouldn't normally consider. I mean, this has given me like a whole thought, and like, oh shit, I need to buy 2 more squads of Eradicators for 120 points a model. They are nasty. Or 120 points a squad, they are very nasty. Keeping them alive and moving them around with the captain is going to be devastating. Yeah, do you know what? It would be cool if you could tag the new ATV onto the Outriders, because they let you do that with old bike squads, where you could have like 3 normal bikes and then tag on a bike with multi-melta. Yeah, that will be interesting. The only thing I think about that is, in the last little while, the codexes have almost been like, I want to say they've not been fully thought out or fleshed out. I think it's because the cycle they're on of releasing stuff is so relentless at the moment. Because when the Blood Angels Codex came out, Sanguinary Priests couldn't have jump packs, right? Like they forgot about it, or they didn't do it. But they were there for a while. What were those books called before? The Indexes or something? Oh, I don't remember what they were called. Right at the beginning of the 8th edition, they put out like supplements, much broader supplements. I feel like they were called Indexes or something like that. And the Sanguinary Priest with the jump pack with weapon options was in the index. And then in Blood of Baal, they fixed it so Sanguinary Priests could have jump packs, but they didn't add in any of the weapon options. Like, you used to be able to take power swords, you know, like the standard thing where it's like, this character can take a melee weapon from this choice, or this character can take ranged weapons from these choices, or pistols, etc. So, like, I built a Sanguinary Priest with a power sword and a Stormbolter, and then it was just like, they said, oh, we'll fix the jump pack, but they just completely forgot about the weapon options. So yeah, I feel like the Codex is so close to this Indomitus box, like 2 months, that there's not going to be that many more options in the box. And do you know what? If we're talking about that as well, it makes me think a little bit about like the Death Company Intercessors, right? Like, they must have known that they're doing Assault Intercessors. I've never taken Death Company Intercessors, because to me, Death Company are close combat units. They're not just intercessors, and I don't really want to spend the points on. I don't want to take up an elite slot for Death Company with just bolters or bolt rifles or whatever. Yeah, did they share a new Land Raider? Was there a picture of that? I'm not sure I've seen that yet. But yeah, so historically, or at least for the last edition or so, my Blood Angels army has been like this. It's been very few vehicles, like a dreadnought or something. But I have run 2 games of Ninth with a bit more heavy armor, so I think this list works. And do you know what? It's a pity that we can't actually play against each other with it, because I would like to see how it would go against like the more balanced list that I'm trying. But okay, well, I probably have to go. So yeah, thanks for tuning in and checking it out, and thanks for the submission. And hopefully I can get round to doing a few more of these. So and there on my backdrop, I will finish with a cool picture of my slam. I'd like to see a photo of your slam, like in this angle, man, because I've just got the top down version of them. So send me that, and I'll use it in a thumbnail or something. All right, cool. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, peace.